introduce Dr. Doug Hostetter, who is the peace pastor in the Mennonite Church and member of the board of Luke 10. He was actually a anti-war activist during the Vietnam War and organized several economical and interfaith gatherings for 3 consecutive years with the US and Canadian religious leaders and the Iranian president in New York City to explore ways that the religious community could work for peace with Iran and other Eastern societies and countries. So as we are a little bit out of time, I reduce the introduction of Dr. Doug. So please go ahead, and so the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. It is a pleasure to be with you to represent Luke 10 at this webinar. Luke 10 is an organization of American Christians that came together about 8 months ago during the height of the pandemic to try to find a way to give pandemic aid to our friends in Iran. It is interesting that the organization came together, had several things in common. Most of us that were on the board knew each other, so we were already friends. All of us on the board had friends who were Iranian. Many of us had either traveled to Iran through educational or cultural exchange or humanitarian work or interfaith dialogue. So it was actually friendship with Iranians that brought us together to try to think about how we as American Christians could respond to the pandemic that was affecting Iran. We thought it was especially important for us as Americans because we were sadly aware that our government's sanctions against Iranian trade and banking was making it more difficult for Iranians to actually cope with the pandemic, which was affecting all people all the way around the world. We are very privileged. We gathered together funds and we sent medical shipments to Iran directly. And actually then we thought we really needed to do more than simply send aid to Iran. We needed to build friendship between our peoples, our faith traditions, and our countries. And so we decided to start to establish some webinars to try to bring Iranian Christians together with, Iranian American Christians together with Iranian Muslims, and also to bring in Jews as a part of the interfaith dialogue as well. Our first webinar was Who is My Neighbor? And the second one is the Theology of Friendship. Interestingly enough, the name Luke 10 comes from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 10, which holds within that chapter, there are 2 significant things. One is the Great Commandment. The Great Commandment says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, your mind, your soul, and your strength, and your neighbor as yourself. And the second was the parable of the Good Samaritan. I won't have time this morning to go into all of the parable, but essentially the parable 16th century Reformation, which brought out Protestants and Reformed and the Anabaptists. The Anabaptists were the smallest. We are the Mennonites, which are known as a peace church. The unique understanding of the Mennonites is that you cannot inherit your religion from your parents. You cannot assume your religion because of the country in which you live. The only way in which you can really follow God is to actually follow the path of Jesus that has laid out the way in which people should live. So we have also committed ourselves that we would not participate in war because all people of the world are our friends. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Doug.